Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces that I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes some crafty fancy. And today we're taking a look at all the things I've been working on in July, so put your feet up, grab a brew and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers and to any new viewers, a very warm welcome to you. As I mentioned in the opening to this video, we're looking at the things I've been working on in July, so let's get started with what I am wearing. Now this is also my first and last finished object of the month, sort of. Last so far, shall we say, because I'm filming this on Friday the 29th of July, so there are still a couple of days left. And there will be a couple of other things finished before that time is up, but we'll get to that later. So this is the Shelby, which is a true bias, I believe. I will double check that. I'm doubting myself now. True bias pattern. It's a dress and romper jumpsuit type pattern. It's got a very sort of 90s feel to it. The dress is very much the style that I wore a lot during the 90s, particularly in the longer length. With the sleeves similar length to this as well. The fabric is a fabric from Minervis, part of the Minervis Ambassador programme. So this is a linen viscose. The name of the print has escaped me for the moment, but it's one of their exclusive prints. I'll put the details on screen for you. Now I chose to make the romper version in the, well, it's billed as mid-thigh. But as you can see from the photo of me wearing it, it's more like knee length on me, which is fine by me. I'm actually happier with knee length than mid-thigh, and I was tempted to lengthen the pattern. I didn't in the end, and I'm glad I didn't, because I think just below the knee would have looked a little bit peculiar. Doesn't mean if I ever make the full length version, I'm going to need to shorten it a fair chunk though. Quite often patterns are drafted for people who are 5'5", 5'8", that kind of thing. I'm 5'4", so not exactly model height. So yeah, so that's the dress. I didn't make any alterations to it other than grading between two sizes. My top half is quite often a size down from my bottom half. So I graded the seams out between two sizes to accommodate for that, but otherwise I didn't make any other adjustments. I could have adjusted the rise, and I may do so if I make it again. I'm not 100% that I will, but I might. The bottom of the rise does sit slightly low, as they tend to do on jumpsuits and rompers. So I may find that I need to wear like boy short pants or chub rub shorts underneath, just to accommodate the tops of my thighs a little bit. They're like top inch of my thighs, not like a huge chunk of it. So I may see if I can shorten the rise a little bit, just to lift that bottom of the crotch seam up a little bit. My hesitation at doing that is with a romper, you obviously need the length in order to sit down without, splitting your difference. So yeah, a little bit hesitant to do that. If it was in stretch fabric, wouldn't have a problem, but it's not, it's a woven. So that's one thing that I will be thinking about for next time. Chances are I'll probably chicken out and leave it as it is. It's not too much of an issue, it's just a little tweak. The other thing that I will probably change, if I make the dress or the romper version, is the sleeves. I've gone with the cap sleeves, which is fine. I like the length of cap sleeves. They do a short sleeve length as well. I mean, they're fine, they go round, but that's as far as I can lift my arms before the rest of the romper wants to come with it. And I do like a little bit more range of motion with my sleeves. So my options that I've thought about as I was putting this on, after sewing on the final button about half an hour before I started filming, the options that I was thinking about was either slashing and spreading the sleeve to give a little bit more ease around the upper arm, because that would give a greater range of motion. The other option, which I'm quite tempted by, is to switch out these sleeves for a flutter sleeve, which would change the vibe of the outfit a bit, I think, because we didn't really have much in the way of flutter sleeves that I remember in the 90s. This sort of sleeve was far more common. Yeah, I think that could work. with a good choice of fabric, the right choice of fabric, nice sort of drapey fabric, I think the flutter sleeve could work. Overall though, I am really pleased with this. I love this fabric. It says 70s to me. And obviously the whole outfit's got the 90s style line, so it's a very sort of retro, as the kids say, vintage. Not happy that the 90s is considered vintage. But anywho, it's got that nice sort of reminiscing vibe to it, which I like. I mean, I was at secondary school and going into university through the 90s. I graduated from university in 99. So this is very much the sort of thing I pretty much lived in for quite a long time. So yeah, so really pleased with that. I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it, not least of all because of the fabric. This is linen viscose blend. So it's got the drape of the viscose and the breathability of the linen. It sews up nice and easily, even though it does fray like a beast. As a result, I French seamed everything I could and flat felled where I couldn't. But yeah, it sewed it really nicely. It took pressing really well. Didn't have any issues with the sewing of it. Yeah, really pleased with how it's turned out, and I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. Not least of all because I can wear this to work, and we've got summer school coming up, so I'll be working the extra days during the summer holidays. Woo! It's all good. Yeah, so pleased with that. I can see me making more in this type of fabric and more from this pattern to get the fit that I've got without having to make much in the way of adjustments or anything in the way of adjustments really, other than grading between the two sizes. I think is pretty good straight out the bat. There is a little bit more ease in the top than I maybe need, but given that it's for the summer, okay with that. I don't want anything too clingy in the summer. And I can obviously wear it over tights in the winter as well, so it's been a nice versatile little outfit. So yeah, so that fit was finished about 40 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago now. So yeah, so pleased with that. And let's move on to see what else I've finished in the month of July. And we are moving on to buttons. Some of you that have been here with me for a while will remember that I think it was last year sometime I had a go at making some Dorset buttons. Now this time round, sorry to anybody who speaks German, I don't, Zwernknopf buttons. So this is, if I let it focus, there you go, your standard Zwernknopf button. So it's a ring button, so it's thread wrapped ring. Very similar concept of construction to the Dorset button. The Dorset button you tend to do over round rings, so rings that have got a round profile. These are done over flat rings, a little bit more like a washer. They're a European style of button, whereas the Dorset buttons are a British style of button, so continental Europe. So there's the standard one. Then we have, oops, throwing them on the floor. Just bear with me a moment while I scoop that back. So now we have the wrapped Zwernknopf button. So very similar construction. It's just the centre part has been wrapped with threads to create that sort of bullseye type thing. Oh, focus. Oh. There we go. So again, nice and simple construction. If you can do blanket stitch and you can hold a thread, you can make thread covered buttons. The other main difference between these ones and the Dorset buttons, other than the shape of the ring that you do with them, and obviously their port of origin, is that Dorset buttons you start by casting the ring first before you lay the spokes. Zwernknopf buttons you do the other way around, so you lay the spokes and do all the decorative work first, and then you cast the ring with blanket stitches around the ring. So the casting is just covering the ring. Now these ones are Star Zwernknopf, so a little bit more of a complex pattern. Hopefully the remaining ones will focus a little bit better because they're bigger. I will put photos up of anything that's too badly out of focus. So the larger ones are still zwan-up buttons, or at least they came in my instructions for how to do zwan-up buttons. These are made in the same way as these smaller ones. This is a shirt, butterfingers today. This is a shirt lace button. So we're getting a bit more complicated with the pattern. And that was followed up in levels of complexity by the triple shirt lace button. So yeah, more and more complex as you go. And the final pair of buttons for this month. The pattern for this was called Circus. I don't know whether that's a traditional name for the pattern or whether it's just the name that Gina Barrett, who is Gina B Silkworks, gave to it, because I got the instructions in the kit from her to try these ones out. She's actually based like that way. I could walk there. Not that she's got a shop, but she's based on an industrial estate. That is like 10-15 minutes that way by foot. So this is Circus, which is the most complicated form of the buttons that I've tried so far. So yeah, so that's my finished objects. So it's not been a month for finishing things yet, but as I say, I do have some things that are almost finished. So we'll get onto them a bit later on. We'll do those towards the end of the works in progress, which is what we're going to be talking about now. And let's start with this large thing. If you've been following along my channel, you'll be familiar with all of this. This is my cushion cover that I'm weaving. I haven't, as you see, done any more on it since the last video on it went out last weekend, mostly because of my nearly finished objects. So we'll get onto that, as I say, shortly. So I'm weaving this out of a cream DK weight yarn and leftovers from my Sophie's Universe. So this is Aran worsted weight yarn. It's a gradient yarn, so we are starting to see a bit of colour change coming in at the top. I'm over halfway through. So yeah, so I'm going to keep weaving on that until I've repeated this section at the top but in reverse. And then I've got another warp on the back of the loom that I need to weave as well before I can take it off the loom. So as we move into August and we get through the nearly finished objects that we'll get onto soon, then I'll be able to get back to this and put some more time on that. And in a few weeks' time, hopefully I'll be ready to take it off the loom and we'll be able to wrap up that little series of videos for you. But yeah, so that's my big work in progress. It's been taking up a fair amount of time in July because I've obviously been doing the videos to go along with it. So a little bit lighter progress has been made on my project in my Moulin Rouge Can Dancers project bag. I'm sure it's not supposed to be a project bag, but when I saw it in the shop at the Moulin Rouge, I was like, yeah, that's a sock knitting bag. But, yeah, so I'm working on a pair of socks in Silent Night, which is a Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway. I have made a little bit of progress. These have been living in my handbag when I'm out and about in waiting rooms and what have you, so they are slow progress, but that's okay. But, putting a little bit of texture in, throwing in the odd pearl bump here and there. Every few rows I'm essentially doing a row of rib, just to give a bit of interest, keep going with it. So they're going to be a pair of shorty socks. So yeah, that's something else that I can do a little bit more now that we're getting to the end of July and my time frees up a little bit. We can do a bit more on that and make a bit of progress, get them done, ready for the autumn, because I'm not really wearing socks at the moment. It's just too hot. I'm wearing sandals, and sandals and socks do not mix. So that's knitting work in progress. I have also started a new cross stitch project. Have I finished my big library cat project? No. Have I framed the last cross stitch that I finished? No. But it's July, So that means it's Christmas in July. So I picked myself up a little cross stitch kit. So this is a Vivaco kit. It's the table runner version that I'm doing, although the big picture is the tablecloth. And it's all worked in cross stitch on linen. Now I've not cross stitched on even weave or linen or anything like that before. I've only cross stitched on Ada. So I was a little bit nervous about it, to say the least. I shouldn't have worried. I don't have to do any counting because this pattern is printed on the fabric. It's a water soluble ink, so once I've finished making it I can just wash it and it'll all come out. So yeah, Christmas in July. I've not done Christmas in July before because I'm not normally that organised. But I'm going to aim, well the aim had been to get this pair of boots done by the end of the month, but because obviously July finishes this weekend, I'm going to have this one done. And I should have made some progress on here. But my thinking was, if I start this in July, I might actually have it done by Christmas. Then I can actually use it to decorate my house. So yeah. Normally I start my Christmas crafting a lot closer to Christmas and end up only working on things during December. It takes me years to finish anything. So yeah, so I thought if I start now, I might actually be able to use it when we come to the proper time of year for it. So yeah, Christmas cross stitch. Yeah, so quite varied so far with the works in progress. The only other works in progress that I have to show you, there's two of them. They relate to Tour de Fleece, which is July. So Tour de Fleece is an annual spinning challenge where you basically spin along with the Tour de France, which is the men's cycle race across Europe, mostly in France, but usually includes at least one other country. It has come through the UK before. I think it started in Belgium this year. I could be wrong, I haven't really been following it that closely. And some spinners opt to continue spinning for the Tour de Femme, which follows on from the Tour de Fleece. The Tour de Fleece is about 3 weeks, Tour de Femme is 1 week. Tour de Fleece has 2 rest days, Tour de Femme has none. So yeah, so it's just a fun little spinning challenge. I take part with my online knitting group, which is the International Virtual Knit Nights. We meet on Zoom up to 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Saturdays and Sundays, and I will put the stuff down there for how to find out more about them if you're interested in joining a group of international like-minded people with all sorts of crafty backgrounds. So I've been spinning on my spindles, and if you remember last month when I was talking about plans for Tour de Fleece, I didn't set myself a yardage goal, I didn't set myself a weight goal or a number of skeins goal, anything like that, which is just as well because although I only took 1 day off spinning so far for the whole month, I haven't finished any yet. But like I say, Tour de Femme doesn't finish until tomorrow, so it's fine. It'll be done. So I set myself the challenge of improving my spinning on my support spindle, which I got for Christmas from my dad and his wife. And I set myself a challenge of working out how to use a distaff and medieval spindle stick. Then realised I needed to have more than one medieval spindle stick to do more than one ply, so I ordered 2 more. Actually do. So let's start with the support spindle spin. I have completed 1 ply. This is 1 single. It's looking like a lollipop on my bamboo knitting needle. I've tied a finger loop braid around it just to stop it sliding around whilst I'm waiting to ply. So yeah, that is 100% merino single, 50 grams. I have no idea what the yardage is yet because obviously I haven't plied it and wound it off yet. And this is the 2nd ply, and this is what I have left to spin up. So that'll get spun up this evening, and then we'll be ready to ply tomorrow. Plying always takes longer than I expect, but yeah, I'm going to dedicate tomorrow to plying. Yeah, so when you're watching this, essentially I will be plying. The other project is the medieval spindles. I suppose I should tell you how that's been going with merino. Actually, I spin a lot of merino, so I generally don't think too much about it. I am enjoying the sport spindle. I have been spinning from roving that I put into strips and then bundled up. So I've got these little nests of fibre that I've just been opening out and spinning from one end to the other. But I have come across during July people spinning from the fold on support spindles so that they can do the longer draw, and that's something I'm tempted to try next time I spin something on this spindle. So yeah, that'll be interesting to try. So the other project I've been working on through Tour de Fleece, I have my distaff. As you can see, my distaff is empty, bar the ribbon that I have to hold the fibre on. Now, the main purpose of a distaff is to manage your fibre. So you plop your fibre on there and tie it on. I am saying plop because in all my research, when I got the distaff, trying to work out how to load the flipping thing, there doesn't seem to be a consensus of which is the proper way to load wool onto a handheld distaff. As you can see, it's quite short. Essentially, it seems to be get it on there and tie it on. You can either have the staple length running that way, or you can have the staple length running around it. I did my first ply with it running that way, but I did have to fold over the fibre. I'm using a Merino Stellina blend. So that was the first ply. Second ply, I held the fibre at right angles to the distaff and rolled the distaff around in it, so I didn't have to fold the fibre over, but it was still sort of on top of each other. So loading it, not too much of an issue. Like I said, it essentially just seems to be shove your fibre on somehow and attach it with something that's not going to felt into it. So far so good. With the longer distaffs, it frees, by having your fibre managed by the distaff, it frees up both your hands. So you've got one hand for spinning, one hand for plying. Now I have managed to spin 50 grams on each of my medieval spindle sticks. I spun them both with the whirl that's on here, the larger whirl, but I do now have a smaller whirl. They're different weights, which is why I spun them both with the same whirl. So you can take spindle whirls off spindle sticks and swap them around and all sorts. So they're nice and versatile. But I'll show you the other spindle stick that I have. This is why I needed to get more, because this belly is where you wind the cop on. So not only is it fatter, but it's got grooves in it. At least on this spindle stick, it's got grooves in it. But the fact that it's larger than the rest of the spindle means you can't just slide the cop off like I can with my support spindle. So I would have had to have wound it off to then spin and then wound it again to ply. By having more spindle sticks, I can ply directly off of the spindles. And by having a third one, I can do 3 plies. So that's the spindles themselves. The distaff, because it's handheld, I haven't got a free hand to ply with. So the longer ones you'd either stick under your arm or in your belt, or some of them are freestanding. And you have your left hand free to draft and your right hand spinning. You can, I've seen people do it, you can ply with your left hand and hold the distaff at the same time with that sort of a motion. My brain knows to do that. When I've got fibre on the thing, my fingers don't. They don't listen to my mind. So I haven't mastered that yet. Once I do master the drafting with the left hand whilst holding the distaff, I'll be able to do grasped spinning, so keeping the spindle stick in my hand like that as I spin, be able to do short suspended spinning like that. So like you see in the medieval paintings, essentially. That's what I'm aiming for. I haven't quite mastered it yet. They are, however, ready for plying. So again, tomorrow, when you are watching this, I will be plying. Okay, so that is all my stuff that I've been working on in July for you. Obviously, there are other projects that I've started that I've shown you bits of partway through that I haven't touched this month. Things like my hand sewn top or my felted squirrel, that kind of things. I haven't touched them this month, mostly because my time has been taken up with the weaving and the spinning. As I say, I have done a bit of spinning every single day, bar one, over a minimum of 15 minutes. So it's not like I'm spending hours on end spinning. Most of the time I have spent like an hour or two spinning. But yeah, so that has taken up a fair amount of my time alongside work and all the other stuff that, you know, life throws at you. So I'm pleased with what I've produced this month. I do have a list of things I now need to catch up on a bit. A list of things I'd like to get back to over the next month or so. I do have some more Minerva projects coming up. I have 2 smooth jerseys, 1 ribbed jersey, 1 gingham and 1 twill, all lined up, waiting to get cut out and sewn up. So they'll be over the next few weeks. Still haven't sewn up my Mitchell trousers. Still haven't adjusted the chitane shorts pattern to make a pair of them again. So that's all lined up as well. And yeah, I've got other projects that I've already started that I want to get back to, make a bit more progress on. So stay tuned to see what I get up to during August next month. And in the meantime, there will be some other videos coming up for your viewing pleasure. I haven't totally decided which one's coming first, but there are some interesting things coming up. There are some things I haven't done before coming up, because you know me, I like a challenge of filming the first time I try something. So yeah, so keep all the stuff down there selected and clicked and bells ringing and all the magic that comes with every YouTube video, and I will see you next week. But in the meantime, happy crafting and bye bye for now.